Where did your sense of resilience and healing come from?
As a young child, I was born without a very good immune system. And there were long periods of time where I was close to death growing up. You're very young. In those formative periods where we start forming our empathy and sympathy for others was when I was the sickest. I think something came out of that because the medical staff around me way back in the early days really cared about me and nurtured me as that very ill child. My mom had some influence on that in those early days, but I think some of the empathy and sympathy gene is genetic. However, it also can be cultivated, and we see that all the time when you give people what it is they need, and most of all, that's generally if you can bring the antidote to loneliness so they know they're part of a community. There is an pandemic worse than any disease that has ever struck this planet, and that's it. It's loneliness. It kills, and if it's not killing you quick, it's hell on earth. And I know folks that have gone through all the stages of cancer and at the end did not make it. However, the community around them gave them such support. And you got to think of the Gilda Radner experience way back in the 70s. She said cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me if it wasn't for the downside. Being the comedian she is, but she had that community around her. As a human species, I believe we can make it through anything and find moments of joy, even when we're in the worst of circumstances, if we have a supportive, loving community around us.
We've known each other for years, and I'm an admirer of your work. I appreciate what you do. You have such a deep and profound respect for veterans and now all types of heroes, service members and others. What fuels you? Why do you give so much of yourself to them?
We have panic disorder that runs in the family. It's basically your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism gone haywire. And if it's idiopathic panic disorder, that means it's not specific to a spider or to flying or to water, not those classic phobias. It can come from nowhere. And because it's coming from inside, the panic is coming from within, you cannot run away from it. And that brings us all the way back to PTSD, because the men and women are brothers and sisters that have fought for our liberty and all the beautiful things we have here. They experience similar symptoms. So it's always been part of my healing and part of my goal to ensure that other folks, number one, they never have to experience that. But secondly, if they are, to reassure them they're not alone. And the good news is you can manage this stuff and it doesn't have to run your life.